Guys, this sin of unbelief, I'm starting to understand why the Lord really detests and hates that sin. Don't get mad at me. You know, there's sins of the flesh and then there's sins of the spirit. The sins of the flesh are evident. Murder, adultery, yada, yada. But the sins of the flesh are harder to detect. Jealousy, envy, bitterness, unforgiveness, and yes, the sin of unbelief. Hebrews chapter 3, I'll take it in verse 11. So I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. Beware, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living God. Verse 19. So we see that they could not enter in because of their unbelief. Unbelief is the reason why believers don't enter into, hear me now, the fullness of their victory. It's like they get so close and they stop short. That's why it says what? Don't become weary in doing well. You'll reap a harvest in due season if you faint not, if you don't succumb to this sin of unbelief. God doesn't like this spirit, this sin of unbelief. He detests it. He hates it because it's disobedience. It's not believing him. It's not obeying him. It's not trusting him. It's your falling short of the enemy's devices. I've seen it so many times. I'm not being hard on you guys. I'm preaching, teaching you things I've been through in my own life and things I see in other beliefs. Here's the deal. God's faithful. He'll let us see shortcomings, sin, and failures in others that we can't see in ourselves because we do have blind spots. And when we see him in others, then we can see him in ourselves. Isn't that the gospel truth? So August 22nd at 9 p.m. East Coast, New York time on YouTube Live, I'm going to be teaching about unbelief, 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 unbelief. What is unbelief? How to stay away from it, how to shun it, how to stay in belief, and how not to lose your press. And the number one reason why people stop pressing into the Lord, stop believing, stop receiving, is because of unbelief. They get upset, they get frustrated, they believe for something. Let me give you a little nugget. We're not called to seek God's hand. We're called to seek his face. And if the enemy can get us on the blessing and take our eyes off the one who gives it, you've already missed it, because that's not what Christianity's about. We don't serve him for what he can do for us. We serve him for who he is. I'll see you August 22nd, 9 p.m. on how to not lose your press. Many people have lost their press, and how to combat unbelief. I love you, man. Blessings.